Hello, hello, hello. What's up? It is your girl Vanette, and I got my lovely sis Denise, and for another episode of Sister Self Care Sunday, but not just any Sister Self Care Sunday. We are celebrating some amazing fathers today. So we have a really good show for you.
Yes.
And so, getting started, we're going to bring up our very special guest, and we're dedicating this to the dads. And each one of these gentlemen has been identified as being an amazing father. So it's our pleasure to have them with us. First up, we have Tyrone Nadir. Our next guest we have is Anthony Williamson. And last but definitely not least, we have Marvin Lawhorn.
Welcome.
Welcome you all. So, let's just get into it. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. We'll start with Tyrone, the way we brought you on. Just give us a little bit about yourselves and about your family.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Tyrone Nadir. I'm originally from Saginaw, Michigan, but right now I reside in Dayton, Ohio. I am married with 2 children. I have a boy and a girl. My girl attends Central State University, where she also plays basketball, and my son attends Alabama State. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right.
Anthony?
All right. Greetings, everyone. My name is Anthony Williamson. I'm originally from Detroit. I'm actually 62 years old, a recently retired social worker. I have 4 children, a 40-year-old son who's special education, have a 35-year-old daughter, a 27-year-old daughter, 23-year-old daughter, and a set of grand twins. I attended Eastern Michigan University. Although I grew up in Detroit, I've been in Ypsilanti for the last 43 years.
Welcome. Marvin?
I want to say thank you for having me. First off, my name is Marvin Lawhorn, born and raised in Detroit. Graduated from Ferris State University. I actually have 3 kids. I have twin girls, that's 11, and a son that's 13. So I'm here to learn as well as give some advice.
Well, that's what it's all about. So now this question is going to be for all the dads. And we're going to start with you first, Marvin. And it is, tell me, what has been the most rewarding part about being a father?
For me, the most rewarding part is watching them grow and to see the looks that they have on their face, like for everything. Just to be able to watch them grow and them learning and everything about them.
Beautiful. Anthony, same question. Most
And for me,
rewarding.
it's actually everything. Most importantly, being able to provide things to them to make them grow in all facets of life. Just being there for them, learning with them, because see from the ages of my children, I was a young father and didn't have the relationship with my father. So I was learning to be a father while a father. And as I mentioned, my family is blended, but I'm actually the biological father of 3 girls, and so raising daughters. So when we get to that part, was different than I believe it would have been for raising sons based on the way I was. So raising ladies with all the emotion and the support and everything was a challenge for me.
Emotions? What are you talking about? No.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Tyrone, most rewarding part of being a father?
Similar to the other 2 gentlemen, watching them from the time that they were born to the time that they are now young adults, to also be, play a part in their life where I'm instrumental in sort of more guiding them into the young people that they are now. So it's rewarding to see them from birth to continue to grow as young people as they are now.
Love that.
Yeah.
Now, this question I'm going to give to Anthony. Tell me, what values or lessons did you instill in your children?
I would like to say, well, definitely a work ethic and the ability to understand the importance of education, how that can help guide them professionally, but also just how to grow, how to communicate, how to understand, how to share, the value of family, just the importance of family. Trying now to explain to them the history of our family, because we are our generation of my family who are now getting closer. Our family, we have a large family, but the value that I grew up understanding what family is, how important that is in your life throughout, is what I'm trying to get my family to understand and value.
Exactly.
Good. And this question I'm gonna pose to everybody. How has fatherhood changed you as a person? Tyrone?
For me, it definitely has humbled me, where I realized that for the next, I'm not sure how many years I'll be here, that I'm responsible for the life of two individuals. So therefore, I have to make sure that I do the right things, that I set the example, that I'm there to support them as well. So it really has humbled me in terms of who I am today. Not saying that I was a wild child, but I do realize that I have a sense of responsibility, and I have to make sure that I'm here to adhere to that responsibility as being a father and a husband.
Awesome. Marvin, same question. How has fatherhood changed you?
For me, is the biggest thing is being accountable. They're a blank canvas, so the things that I teach them, they're gonna hone and they're gonna carry it through life. So I have to make sure that I'm following the right steps and I'm leading them in the right direction.
Beautiful. Anthony, how has it
And
changed?
I think both of the gentlemen said it already. To make it really simple, it made me responsible for other people's lives. I was probably a little more of a wild child, but having children changed that a great deal for me. It made me responsible for somebody else. It made me think about how my actions when I was younger, especially in the small, I live in Ypsilanti. I don't know if I said that, but Ypsilanti is a very small community. Everyone knows you. So some of my actions in prior years, had they been negative, could be things that can affect my children. But because everything was positive, I have a good positive relationship within my community, I think that my children now know the path I kind of walk through and set for them.
Okay. And last question I have for this segment, this section here is for you, Tyrone. Tell us, can you share a moment or an experience that made you feel particularly proud as a dad?
I'll share an experience with my daughter, where she was in elementary school, and I always asked them how their day was in school. And she shared with me, I'm not sure if it was Spanish class or they were doing something with a Spanish lesson, but the term Negro was used. And the school she went to was a predominantly, at the time, white school. So there was a kid that was sort of joking, using the term Negro, in a jokingly manner. And she shared with me what took place, and that she pretty much called him on it. Not where she was disrespectful, but just let him know that that's unacceptable. So even though it's a term in our textbook and it's a part of the lesson, you're basically going overboard, and that's unacceptable. So when she told me that showed me that, the things I told her about be proud of who you are, she was willing to step up and speak up. And then there was another instance, and I'm sure my son probably don't want me to say anything about it. But I've always told them, if you are ever in an environment that you don't feel comfortable, always call mom or dad and we'll pick you up. So I did drop him off at a party. He was about 12 or 13. And probably about 10 to 15 minutes later, I got a call saying, come back and get me because this just doesn't feel like the right vibe for me. So I commended him for that. So those were two moments that I felt that at that young age, that I instilled in them, and they were able to follow through with what I instilled in both of them.
Well, let me just say that
Great job.
you guys are just touching my heart. Like, I'm over here just really overwhelmed because of the impact that you are having on your children's lives, and just sharing the stories of knowing the seeds that you've planted in your children.
Yes.
Like, for your son to call you 10 minutes later, like, Dad, this vibe is, off. And then your daughter to be able to speak up respectfully, but check the other student, like, basically that's not cool. Like, that's not acceptable. So, that's wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing. Denise?
Okay, so this question is going to be for all of you. What challenges have you faced as a father, and how have you overcome them? So we'll go to you, Anthony, first.
Okay. And so earlier I said my son was learning disabled, which is not correct. My son is permanently disabled. He has autism. And so I say having a son who's permanently disabled, and as I mentioned early, raising girls. I'm going to constantly say raising girls.
Wait a minute.
Look, I don't have any here.
You keep saying something about them girls now. Wait a minute. Ain't that bad.
Gentlemen, when they get older, okay? And then I would say the mistakes, and I said this earlier, mistakes of not having guidance. I learned to be a father. I had conversations with my daughters, sometimes in tears, saying, I don't know this either. I'm trying to do the best I can.
Yes.
Father I can, but we're learning on the fly.
Yes.
Especially with my oldest daughter. We're learning on the fly. And so I would say those were the challenges, that I had to overcome, is just doing that and navigating my life with that. Even with my permanently disabled son, after he got a certain age, he just probably been out of our house and in independent living for maybe 8 years. But it became, I didn't want it to be a burden because he needed to be supervised all the time. I didn't want it to be a burden on my daughters that they had to stay home and be with their brother. So, we made a decision as a family. We tried 3 times to find a place for him. The first couple of times just didn't feel right for us. But once we made that decision, it helped the entire family. Now he's thriving independently. We see him in the neighborhood, or at the grocery store doing his thing. So I would say those.
Great. Okay, Marvin.
Okay, for me, it would be just them accomplishing things that they try. I'm gonna use my son for the first example. He's a wrestler, and I tell him, if you don't believe in yourself, nothing's gonna happen. So once he started to believe, that's when he started to make moves with his wrestling. With my daughters, I have to go with Anthony in terms of it's different raising girls. I'm learning as we go, but letting them know that whatever they put their mind to, they can accomplish it.
Okay. And Tyrone, for you, what challenges have you overcome as a father, and have you faced as a father, and how have you overcome the challenges?
For me, I think the challenges are still there, and we have yet to overcome them. And I say that because I have my kids are in their 20s, so
yes,
I've experienced a lot of things that they are getting ready to get into, and things that I see forthcoming. And the challenge is to help them understand that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I think we were there too, and didn't do what our parents asked us to do, and we wanted to experience it. So the biggest challenge is to allow them to continue to be young adults. I doubt if I would ever overcome it, because in their 20s, now that over 18, the systems has, if they're in the system, there's very little mom and dad can do.
Right.
So that's the biggest challenge, to truly help them understand that, dad knows what he's talking about. I've experienced it. I don't want you to experience it. But at the same time, you want to say, well, maybe it's best for them to experience it so they know exactly, dad was right, and not let it happen again. It's still a challenge, and I haven't overcome it yet.
Yeah. That's so true because, being a mom myself, you have to sometimes let your kids fly, and experience things, on their own, even though we try to shield and protect them. But
Mhm.
sometimes, we have to let them bump their heads. So, all right. So let me ask you, Marvin, what role did your own father or father figure play in shaping your life as you approach fatherhood?
Oh wow, my dad was Superman. I tell everybody that. Um, that's kind of why I take fatherhood so seriously, because I always said to myself, if my dad hadn't have been so active in my life, like where would I be? But he set a great foundation for me to follow, and I'm trying to live up to where he was.
Great, great. All right. Well, Tyrone, um, for you, how do you balance your work life, your work and family life?
Um,
And
I don't
what
want.
and this is going to be a two-part question. And
Okay.
what advice do you have for other dads trying to find the balance?
For me, I don't want to say it was easy, but because of my profession and how close a proximity where I work was to where my kids went to school,
Okay.
I was able to like leave for an hour or two to go to their performances. Um, so I had I was at the time an elementary school principal, so I had a staff that and the superintendent that family first. So they allowed us some time, like 2 hours if we needed to go and watch our kids perform. Another way, I also made sure that I balanced it too, that my kids were with me when I went to things for work. So even in my school district, my kids were familiar with people in my school district and vice versa. And then when they were younger, I made sure that I spent quality time with them. So I had late nights where, once they went to bed is when I got my work done for work. So I
Yeah.
can make sure that I was present with them. So
Right.
the advice I would give any father is try to spend at least, I'll say 80% or more time with your family, because we'll learn that the job will always be there, even when we're gone. The job will
Oh,
be
yeah.
there. So you want to make sure that you're present in your kid's life.
All right. So now I'm going to ask all of you, how do you foster open communication and trust with your children? So, Anthony.
Wow. So I remember the ages of my children now. So when we were younger, one of the things that I always wanted to have my children do is have a strong voice and a strong sense of self. And so
Okay.
they'll be able to communicate in any arena they're in. A couple of them even participated in what is it called? Toastmasters, where they debate and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
all that stuff was really, really good for them as they live their life daily. It's a difference when you're inside the house. The communication back and forth debate about things went a little too much sometimes. And so I'll say this. I say this jokingly because again, you can tell by my age, I grew up in a different time. So if my mom said to me, 4 and 4 is 7, then why I'm there is 7, right? It's 7. I'm there. Now with my kids, whatever we talk about is always going to be a constant. Well, why do I have to wash the dishes? Well, this, so that just helped us learn how to communicate better. Um, I also am really open with my children. And again, I'll say this with another difference with the boys and girls. I'll keep my son who's autistic was also nonverbal, so
Okay.
he never communicated, right? Which made some part of life for him easier, right? But my girls are verbal. It's always a conversation about
Debate.
how, when, what I should be doing, what they should be doing. But I also, again, saying that I kind of ran I was not the greatest guy in the streets back in the day. As a father, I always tried to shield them, and I think someone mentioned that earlier, from what I know is out there in the streets. But again, they want to learn from themselves. but they are real. One of them is shock value. She's going to say everything. And I think just to see what kind of reaction she'll get from me. Right. Some stuff I think 99% of stuff is true. 99% of the stuff is true. It's shock value. The other daughter won't tell me anything. She'll have her big sisters say it. So just ways how to communicate with them, but also we talk about everything open in communication, except for my daughter. I think all my 3 daughters are beautiful, but it's amazing to me that the 23-year-old, I've never seen a gentleman come to visit her. Like, she's like, no one's coming to see her at this house because she says, what does she say? I'm too extra, which I don't know what that means, but I'm too extra.
So wait, Anthony, she's saying you too extra?
She said I'm too extra, so she don't want nobody coming over because I guess I'll ask too many questions.
You gonna pull that Bad Boys for Life with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence coming to the door with a shotgun?
That won't work for them, but it'll be a nicer version of that.
Okay.
All right. So Marvin, can you answer that same question? How do you foster open communication and trust with your children?
For me, when, like, in terms of discipline, I try to tell them, if we need to talk about it in depth, then tell me we need to talk about it in depth, and we'll move past whatever we got going on to get to the root of the problem. I try to have them, trying to find the words to express what I'm thinking. I want them to always be able to come to me and be able to tell me anything, regardless of whatever. So they don't get to a point to where they're too scared or too nervous to say what's actually on their mind. A lot of the stuff I have to take into account, like, it's different from when I grew up and the tactics that my parents used in terms of raising me. And I grew up the only child. I have a brother that's we're 15 years apart. So for the longest, it was just me. So I have to look at each child in a different way. Not every child responds to everything the same way. So I have to kind of meet them where they're at and let them know that it's okay to come and talk to me about anything.
Yeah. All right. Good job. Tyrone, how do you foster open communication and trust with your children?
Similar to the other 2 gentlemen, I was very honest, and I still am honest with my kids when it comes even from the birds and the bees.
I'm not ready.
I also talk to them about being, how can I say it? You can speak your piece, but you have to be respectful. Yes. So I allow them to speak to me in terms of what their concerns are. And I also make sure that I'm never judgmental, that I listen, give them the opportunity to speak their piece, and then share my thoughts if they want my thoughts. Sometimes I'm just a sounding board. So I don't want to be judgmental. But I share with them what my expectations are. And I'm a man of my word. So if I tell them I'm going to do something, I do it. If I tell them if they do something and what the repercussions are, I follow through. So in terms of communication, I allow them to be who they are, but they know not to cross that line.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. So through with this segment here, and I'm going to turn the next segment over to Vanette.
Well, that was good. There was a lot of information there, and it's so refreshing though to hear real dads that are active in their children's lives and that have been active in their children's lives and intentional with showing up. So that's such a blessing, and it's just such an honor to have you all here. One question I'd like to ask each of you, and we'll start with Marvin first, is to tell us one piece of advice you would give to new or expecting fathers.
The advice that I would give is take it day by day. It's not a book. It's,
Oh yeah.
it's
No
definitely
manual.
exactly. And just be patient. You know, you definitely will be faced with some frustrating times. Just be patient. And you have to, in my opinion, you have to remember that they're a blank canvas. You have to teach them everything.
Yeah.
Tyrone, that same question. What advice for new dads or dads that are, expecting?
Similar to what Marvin said, there's no book. Even though they said when Bill Cosby was positive that that was the person we should follow, but there's no book. It's really trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would really say to young fathers is nip it in the bud when they're young. So if they're doing adult things, even if they're 2 to 3 years old, it's not cute. So you have to really educate them to know that it's not cute for a 2-year-old to carry an empty beer bottle or beer can. So you let them know, no, that's not cute. And also that you are, like Marvin said, they're a blank canvas. So they're watching your every move. If they see you open the door for their mother, when they grow up, they will open the door for young ladies. I think if they see you getting up every morning, going to work to provide for the family, they will have that ethic where I need to get up in the morning, go to work, and provide for my family.
Yeah.
So that's what I really will say to young fathers, that it's trial and error. None of us are perfect, but you really have to set the example and lay the foundation early. Don't wait until they're teenagers, because by that time, sometimes it's too late.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Anthony, that same question.
And I think these gentlemen pretty much covered the basics about this and covered everything. I would just add this because I know we're talking about fatherhood and fathers, but an important part of my success is the alliance that me and my wife have in in running our household effectively. Um, without it's a lot of things, that they confide in each other, then confide in us. One daughter may talk to me more, one daughter talks to my wife more, but they understand that we're Team Williamson, led by Elizabeth and Anthony. Because kids will also try to be divisive between you two.
Oh yeah.
If y'all on we're Team Williamson, they need to understand that no matter what you say, we're working together. We have the same ideas about how things should be done.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, the next question I want to know, Tyrone, tell me, what has been a unique or unexpected lesson that you've learned from your children?
I'll say a unique lesson that I've learned from my children. I have to go back to they're their own person. They are human. So no matter what way you want to take them, they will eventually go their own way. But after a period of time, they will, like the circle of life, they will come back and do pretty much not exactly what you wanted them to do, but they will come back and do what's expected of them. So I've learned from, they're human. Kids are not machines, so they're going to have their own thoughts. So I learned that I can continue to mentor, continue to provide advice, but they're still going to do their own thing, especially when they're in their 20s. So I'm still their father, but I'm more of a mentor, more of guiding them in the right direction. I can't punish them. Well, I could, but I wouldn't try to punish a 20-year-old. But they respect me enough to listen, and then realize that, what, Dad was right, and I should have listened the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, Marvin, how do you involve your children in your interests or hobbies? And what are some new activities that you've discovered since having children?
like it was stated earlier, they watch you and do everything you do. So
Yes.
it's about me doing whatever I do, whether it's in the yard, whether it's just watching TV, certain shows. They kind of just come and just hang out with me. Some new things that I've learned. Like I didn't realize that I like board games, and we have a lot of fun just playing board games, just enjoying each other's company, laughing, talking, listening to the stories that they have in terms of what went on throughout their day. It's kind of amazing.
Love it, love it.
Yes.
And when we talk
when you said about those board games, yes,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I had a little minor flood, so I lost like about I'm gonna say about 12 games because I have 4 sons that I raised. Me and my husband, we raised 4 sons, and so with the board games, they all got destroyed. So what I did was I started replacing the board games, and now I have like about 40 different board games. A lot of it I bought, at the Goodwill for $4.99, $5.99, brand new games. So, when we come together during the holidays with the grandkids and my sons and everything and their significant others, we love to play games of all different types.
Yes, board
that
games
are so much fun. Yes,
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh,
no, go
okay.
ahead.
And I was just thinking of speaking of the board games. I love that. But I'm gonna throw this to either Tyrone or Anthony. Are there any special activities that you all do with your children?
And it's already a lot of our activities are related to sports. But I know since probably for the last maybe 14 years, we would go see the Globetrotters on New Year's Eve. Last year was probably the first time in that maybe 13 years we didn't go. My son and I went to the Rose Bowl to watch Michigan and Alabama, so that was an excuse. Especially for me because
good excuse.
Yeah, he's an Alabama fan. So that was our first time in about 13 years where we missed going to see the Globetrotters. So that was a ritual that we go to, even though they're in their 20s. We still look forward to going to see the Globetrotters.
Oh, I love that. Anthony, what's an activity that you all do?
So we travel. We travel a lot. When me and my wife got married, one of the things we wanted to do is go, all 50 states. So we got 43, 44 done. I don't think we're going to do 50 because those Montanas and Wyomings and North and South Dakota, I don't know if we'll make those. That was our goal, right? But my children, when they probably, until they, became in their 20s, they probably got about 25, 26. So traveling. And then in addition to board games, we played video games. So my family was a Nintendo set, so Super Nintendo and the Wii and all that kind of stuff. Even though we were supposed to do a little fitness, we didn't. But video games. And now I have my grandchildren. They're 7, and they're playing the video games and all that. So that's something we do as a family during holidays, and we're very competitive. So I would say.
Nice.
Good
And I'm going to throw this last question to Tyrone. And this question, before I hand it over to Denise, is how do you handle some of the more difficult conversations and tough topics and setting boundaries?
It wasn't tough for me. And I only say that because I have practiced as an elementary school principal. So when it comes to anything that deals with discipline, I always let kids know these are the expectations. And then if you don't follow through with those expectations, these are the consequences. So even with my kids, they know what the expectations are, especially when they were younger, they knew what the consequences were. So I don't want to say it was easy, but I am who I am, and everybody knows that. So I don't change that for anyone. So the same expectations I have for other people's kids, I have the same expectation for my own kids. So I'm consistent. And my kids know that I'm consistent. So I don't want to say, like it was easy, but that was just one of the ways I made sure that the boundaries were crossed. And again, like I said, they're human. They know that at the time it was a consequence for that.
Gotcha.
And now they know if it's not a consequence from dad, now that you're over 18, the consequence is in somebody else's hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Marvin, you have some little ones. Tell us, how do you handle that? How do you handle having some difficult conversations, or helping to identify some boundaries?
First, I start with patience. I got to be patient with them and understand that they're still learning.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about consequences, whether the good or the bad. And when you make a decision, you have to stand on your decision, whether it's for the good or for the bad. Just try to be present in terms of what's going on, and let them know that I see everything. So anything you try to sweep under the rug, I'm gonna find it. Anything you try to do in the dark, it always come to light.
Oh yeah.
That's some things that I do.
Yes. Good answers. Thank you, gentlemen. Denise?
All right. So this question is going to be for all three of you. What legacy do you hope to leave as a father? So I'm going to ask you, Anthony, what legacy do you hope to leave as a father?
And so, for me, as I went through all the questions, there's a question that was asked about your own father, and I didn't have that relationship. Marvin did a wonderful job of talking about his dad. Mine was the opposite.
Yes.
So for me, I think the legacy I would want to leave for my children is to understand what a man, husband, father should do to support
Yes.
them. Yes.
Yeah.
That is definitely so meaningful. Yes. All right, Marvin, what legacy would you like to leave as a father?
So I always have to think about my dad and what he did for me, and I hope that I could be the same for my kids. I know my dad was my first role model. He was my first Superman. He was the most mightiest thing in the world to me. And I see that I understand how we felt because of how my kids view me. So as long as they have that foundation set, I think that'll be something that can help them grow in life.
Great. All right, Tyrone, what legacy do you hope to leave for as a father for your children?
The legacy I want to leave for my kids is, not that I was just there as a provider financially, that I was also there for like emotional support, that I was also there as a mentor, that I was consistent with what I did with them and for them. And I always, when I talk to people, there's a poem that comes to mind. It's called the Dash poem. So it talks about that dash in terms of when we were born and when we die. And that dash in the middle is the same, but it's what you did in between that time.
Yeah.
So I want my kids to say that even though that dash is the same as everybody else, that my father was there. He provided for us. He set the example for them. And I know when I become a father, or and I'm talking about in terms of my kids, a father, mother, that they will know how to be a father for their children if they ever decide to have kids.
I love that.
That definitely, you guys have, definitely provided some good information for, dads to be, and, the dads that are dads, because you do have some adult men that are older than you guys are, but they're not a dad. And it's not always about what you can buy your child or, provide for your child, but it's about showing up sometime. It's about, the time that you spend with them and, showing them love and like you said, showing them how to be a man or a young lady, but it's just being there for them. And so many children don't have that. in their lives. And you can see why, crime is the way it is in some instances, because people, didn't have, fathers to help them. The only person they had that could help them was a gang member or, someone else. So that was in the, streets or something. So, I commend you guys, and I thank you so much for what you do and what you bring to the table every day. Definitely.
Absolutely. I just think everything that you shared today, you've given us 3 very different perspectives on your journey as fathers, sharing your wisdom, your insight. So I thank you so much. And much to Anthony, I didn't have that role model dad, And so when I hear how you fathers are amazing and you're so intentional, always go to that word intentional, to be present with your child, because it is so much more than writing a check.
Yes.
And the legacies that all of you have stated that you want for your children, I think is just so beautiful and so amazing. And I hope that any young man, any older man who's looking can know that, there are good fathers out there. And a lot of times you just have to reach out to your community to find out, to get some support. And I'm so glad that you all have shared your roadmap to a successful fatherhood. So in closing, I just want you all to give me one word that represents fatherhood for you. One word. Tyrone?
Rewarding.
Great.
Okay, Anthony?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm just gonna say special. It's just a special feeling to be a father.
Yes.
Special. Okay, Marvin. Come on, Superman. Bring it up in the rear. Come on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
One word, huh? I'm like Anthony. It's hard. Just one word. Just be present.
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say before we close too is, Anthony, I commend you as well, because you didn't have that father, and you knew that when you had children that you didn't want them to feel the way that you did. That's why you're present right now. That's why you're doing the things that you do for your family, is because you know the feeling of the absence of a parent, and for you to say, hey, I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm going to be just right. So thank you for that.
Before you close, can I say one thing?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so as I look through all this, I look through it as the lens of my children currently. And so these conversations give a disservice to my princesses growing up. The same 3 daughters were 3 princesses growing up.
Yeah.
Most beautiful thing that I can ever do. So I'm thinking about, when I'm talking about these grown-ups now. And I took away all of the wonderful things they did as kids. So I'm talking about that 20 and up people, Tyrone. So that's what I was talking about. But yeah, when they were younger, I mean, just the best of everything. So, and plus my younger ones up here listening, she's like, what? So I just wanted to add that. Then when they were little, I mean, it's the greatest thing ever.
Right.
Beautiful.
I know it's going by fast. The time is flying by.
So you guys treasure these moments. Because it does go by so fast. It's just like, I take a look back. I have 4 sons. You guys were talking about the daughters. I'm like, but what about having all boys?
All boys too. So
he has 3 boys. I have 4. So it's just like, okay, you guys want to talk about the daughters, huh? But definitely, it is, definitely, very special to be a parent. And so thank you guys for all that you do. And thank your wives too, because it takes a village, it takes a tribe. So hey,
yes.
Thank
you so much for joining, Tyrone. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Marvin. And we just salute you all for being amazing dads. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and time with us. Until next time, everybody, thanks for joining a special edition of Sister Self-Care Sunday. Happy Father's Day.
Father's Day.
Thank you.
Thanks.